Good morning and welcome back to the Explicit Measures podcast with Tommy and Mike. Good morning, Tommy, and how goes your Thursday?
Dude, I'm pumped. I feel pumped. Maybe it's
You feel
because we're
pumped.
2 episodes away from freaking 500, or
Yeah.
maybe just we've been talking offline about a few things, but I feel good.
Excellent. There's a lot of things changing right now. Again, Tommy, I think we said this in the last podcast. I feel like the level or fever or the voice or something has leveled up here in the last 2 months around code development, building things. I'm feeling much more optimistic around where code can help me build out my tasks and supply me with additional support. Um, it's interesting. It's things that we have to get. Well, on one hand, it's like it's very annoying that we have to get to this state where there's all these like remedial tasks that we do.
Mm.
Like the whole idea of technology was to make our lives easier, not more difficult, not work about have more time on our hands. And what the reality has done is it's technology has just shifted what we work on. It's now something different. And so
Yeah.
it feels like we're in that same kind of like excitement of AI is shifting again what we like, oh, it's going to provide all these benefits. I don't think it is. I think it's just going to shift what we work on.
And no, I would completely agree with that. The technology or whatever is available to us just gives us bigger things to do or more complex things to do. I watched the movie from Apple called Tetris. It's a great movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that one
And
yet.
it's hilarious because it's basically showing how they developed it. They're like 8 bits, and it's like, but it was basic. I mean, it was still complex to do, but that was the technology available to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I are doing things that they could only dream about, but it's because we have it available to us. So we're not just going to keep that level. That being said, I was telling you yesterday, I am so happy that I'm being able to live through this era now with what technology is available to us. I mean, granted, I'm even grateful we have the internet, or this would not be possible.
That's true.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool things, man.
And high speed internet at that.
High speed, yeah. It goes back and forth.
just having high speed internet, I think, is like amazing because most of the time I look at this going, oh wow, like if I didn't even have, I feel like a side note here, right? If we didn't have high speed internet, we couldn't do like video podcasts. I remember downloading games that would take, I don't know, it was like a couple megabytes, and it would just wait. I would just wait for things to download because it was so stinking slow. Now I go to my Xbox and I download a game that's like has 3 gigs and I just wait. Oh, it's taking 5 minutes to download 3 gigs. This is ridiculously slow.
Brother, I remember Kazaa, the torrent thing for MP3s. It was kind of like the whichever, I don't remember, and it would take forever. I don't do it anymore. So if you're listening, federals and everyone, but that was back in the day. So
well, okay, you say something about that, it's music and things. And again, the reason you spent the time to do that, Tommy, is because you wanted music that you couldn't get your hands on or something like that. This morning, I woke up singing songs that I've been creating myself for me. Like, I'm. Sometimes you get the earworm, I guess is what you would call it, an earworm. It's a hook. Yes. It gets in your ear, and you keep singing it over and again. Tommy, I've made so many songs about coding and data and things, and now I don't sing songs that are like pop songs. It's now like my own songs that are like the way I like to hear them. It's the speed of the song that I like and enjoy. So I'm looking at a lot of these things going, this is, the AI has really produced a, like, just from the musical standpoint, the AI has really been able to help me produce a very personalized and specific genre of music that is specific to me.
I was going to ask you, Mike, did you write a song about Dax?
Maybe.
It came up on my feed, and I'm like, who in the? I was like, oh right, I gotta look at the creator here. I don't always look at like the artist. I'm like, what in the world am I? Oh, okay.
All right.
So
did you listen to the whole song about Dax?
I did not listen. So I'll be honest.
Tommy,
I did not listen to the whole song. Your
shame on you.
your music taste, I don't think is my music taste.
I know you like, so I'm gonna have to go on a stint here. So I kind of know what you like, Tommy. I believe you like a lot of the Italians, oh
No,
solo mio
you
kind of
do.
songs.
I want to hear. I'm gonna give you a challenge here. I want to hear a Sinatra version,
Yeah,
or
Sinatra. Yep.
give me a classic rock like America, or let's even say no. Let's make it a little more fun. Give me Guns N' Roses or Sinatra.
How about a Guns N' Roses and Sinatra mixed
Dude,
together?
all right. You know what? I will. Not only will I do that, I will. If you have a song worthy enough of mix up both of them, we're like, come on, Sinatra, you play, and then he starts singing. I'll promote that on all the social medias.
Uh, Tommy, I'm gonna promote it anyways.
Yeah, I guess I don't
That's not
all
an
for you.
incentive for me at this point. But what is an incentive is I really want to get a rise out of Tommy to see what comes out of this. And so
Okay.
I will try to noodle out some things. We'll see what we've had. But for those of you who are on the internet and have seen some of our feeds or are not paying attention or are not listening to our YouTube channel or feed, there is a song that I just recently published out on YouTube that is Dax. It's all about Dax. And I've been slowly making new songs and files and putting them out there on YouTube. So I'll make sure I go grab the link here specifically
Yeah.
for that. I'll put it in the chat window for those who would like to enjoy some fun data music. And hopefully you enjoy this stuff. Anyways, that being said, Tommy, let's talk about our main topic today before we
Yeah.
jump into the news. So our main topic is a mailbag. We have a mailbag coming up. Defining the problem before your tools. This is a really good question. So Tommy, we'll go through this one. Just kind of talking about adopting standalone Copilot, right? We talked a little bit about this in a previous episode 428. It was a little while ago. And we kind of addressed like this is a solution looking for a problem. It doesn't maybe necessarily quite fit or potentially the workflow that we're trying to achieve with Fabric. So are there other areas of Fabric that are doing this? What does this mean to define the problem before you start building the tooling on top of it? Or do we just build the tools and just try and find problems to fix things with those tools? I don't know. So with that being said, that'll be our main topic for today. And then let's jump into some news items. Tommy, we've got some blogs happening.
Yeah. So we actually have here, I think, Mike, let's start off with their Fabric updates for January. Microsoft just released, I believe, yesterday, January Fabric feature updates. And let's have some fun with this. There's a few worthy items for a draft here. So I'll start off here. I think we have a nugget of, looks like we have about 17 good ones. I'm going to start off, Mike, right off the bat.
17 good ones. We're not going to get to our episode.
Well, no, we're not going to talk about all of them. I'm saying there's 17 worthy to talk about. Yeah. Then we'll just change the blog title or the episode title here. So
amazing.
I mean, it's 65 pages. Every blog is basically a book, which is insane.
I mean, yes, Tommy, I am. But like on the other hand, I'm looking at this going, it was Christmas. What have they been like? Yeah. What did they put out through December and January? Like usually this is kind of a little bit shocking. And in the past, when we have looked at like Power BI and what Power BI has developed, typically you get no updates in January at all. And this year we got an update and it was minimal, but it was like maybe like a couple fixes, maybe some features that didn't quite get out. Usually we get a ramp up in like February when the release happens in February. So it'll be interesting to see how this one compares. This is weird for us to have updates in January. Sorry, go ahead. Which one are you thinking you like here?
All right, I'm going to start off. It may not have the highest impact, but I think this is going to feature I'm going to enjoy. And it is auto summary for semantic models. What this feature is in the OneLake catalog, you can go and basically see AI generated summaries that help users quickly understand the purpose of a semantic model without actually opening it. Now, I'm sure this is going to have a few things that we're going to want to add to this, but Mike, anytime I work with a new client and we go through the maturity of their reporting, their process, one of the major recommendations I always give is every report must have a defined purpose. And the way we do that is it has to have a reference page with 2 to 3 questions that report answers. And so this is very near and dear to me in terms of the importance of this. Now, how good those summaries are, it's going to have to take a look at this. But the more clarity, the more that we can provide the reason for something to exist and having that easily seen, without
Yeah.
having to open it in a new tab, or if you're in the fabric tabs,
Yeah.
is better for everyone.
I'd agree. I think that yes, we'll see
I
how
don't think this was your first pick.
not really. I mean, that's yes, kind of.
I'm going on potential for this. It's like drafting a quarterback in,
Okay.
Double A, where you're like, I don't know if he's a blue chip, but the potential here is pretty great.
I think so. I just don't love I'm not sure if it's not probably my first pick at this point.
All right. What do you got?
I'm probably going to go after. This is going to sound maybe a bit vanilla, or maybe a bit too simple. I kind of feel like this should have existed before. Okay. So it's the idea of like the auto summary for semantic models, or auto summarize, or doing auto summaries on things. Now I got to play with this feature a little bit. I'm not sure how it's going to actually materialize in reality here, but Tommy, I am really enjoying the OneLake catalog in general.
Yeah,
I think it's a solid tool. I like what it's doing. So for me, when I look at the OneLake catalog and what it can do, it's really for data discovery. I was just in a client's tenant. They gave me access to some semantic models, and I was able to go discover, okay, where were the models? What tables are in them? Some things that I think we're missing right now at this point is the semantic model was great in the OneLake, but I was able to like kind of work with the client and say, we need to add some descriptions to things, right? I could go to tables and measures, and all that stuff is starting to get labeled inside the OneLake catalog, and you can get a kind of a clearer picture about what's going on in your data. I just really think this is an underdeveloped feature, and I'd like to see some more development around data discovery, who has access to what things, what kind of governance, what kind of things are being built with this piece of content. I think this is very important to be part of the BI team. And I think it's going to add a lot of assistance. So I feel like the move here should be, when you come into Fabric, I'm going to unpin a lot of the left-hand navigation experiences, like the real-time hub. I don't really use that very much. I don't really use all the other experiences. So I'm unpinning a lot of things, and I basically have I've even unpinned Copilot. Surprise! I've pinned workspaces, and I've pinned the OneLake catalog, because I feel like those are the two main places I want to be. Right? I've got work I need to go get done. I'm going to go to the workspace. I've got content I need to go discover. I go to the OneLake catalog, and so I think that's really interesting to see that there. It gives you a really easy filtering for like certified content. So I think anything we can improve there, if you can auto summarize models and have that feature kind of funnel information back up to OneLake catalog, I think we're in a place where it's going to be a win.
I think you've said this before, but the other thing that I would pin that I still can't believe is not a feature yet is favorites.
Favorites? How do you mean?
So you're talking about workspaces. You're talking about the OneLake catalog. The other feature that's never been pinnable to the left-hand side is my favorites.
Yeah, like a favorite, like literally a home screen for like favorite things.
Yeah, well, they have that, but you have to go to browse, then you go to favorites.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
you said this.
Yeah, yes, Tommy. And I'm trying to figure out, like, where does it make sense? So there's like core product. Core product is like the left nav and the top nav, right? And then there's like the experience of the particular product, which is like semantic models, or there's so where I'm hesitating here is I'm hesitating on, does favorites become a part of the core product? Is it that big, right?
Yes.
I mean, maybe I could argue this, Tommy. Like maybe I would argue, if you made favorites a little bit better, like, okay, here's things that you have favored hid. And then when you go to the favorites page, you basically provide all the statistics and details around what's happening on your favorites list. Like, for example, like let's say you have favorites. All the reports and their view usage goes on favorites. How many times is a report viewed? And it's in your favorites. That would be something that's kind of interesting. So take some of the workspace metrics and put them on the favorites dashboard. Let me, to your point, Tommy, in favorites, I'm going to need to have a lot of things that are in favorites, but I find that sometimes I want like priority on some of the favorites. Like this thing, I need to pin
I
this
favorite
report.
this, but I really favorite this.
Well, yeah, it's like a favorited thing, but I need to pin it. Like I want to. This is something I use all the time. I do not want you to. A lot of what I feel like Microsoft does is they let you have things and you put them on a page, but then sometimes the page just kind of like ebbs and flows. Hey, here's a lot of your most recently visited, which is useful. But there's some reports that I'm like, I just want that report to stay there.
I need to reference it.
Yeah. I need to always reference it. I'm going to go to this. I want to just bookmark PowerBI.com with the favorites thing enhanced, and then just boom, here's something that I've pinned on that page. I can just go to it. This is one of the things that we've tried to do differently than Microsoft. So we built a product called Intel Exos, and our Intel Exos is Intel External. It's for organizations to do Power BI embedding. It's an accelerator. It takes your development time from like months down to just a couple hours to get building and embedded with Power BI. This is one of the big challenges I think that's there is you need to, as quickly as you can, get people thinking about how quickly can I get to the content I need to produce value for that user. And so I think we did a lot of work or thinking around making a homepage and like, how do you make folders? Can you have favorites of things? You put a favorite, boom, it's a card. You go to the homepage, boom, all the favorites are listed at the top of our website. We just did a huge revision on the UI and the graphics, which stay tuned. We're going to do a deep dive and go through the app here eventually on the internet at some point, but you'll see our changes. But we've made a huge amount of improvements to make that easier. I think that's when people are showing up at PowerBI.com, they're immediately going to, I know what I'm looking for. I don't think a lot of people are going in there like, I'm just going to kind of wander around and find things. So being very clear about what you're specifically building and delivering is going to be very useful to those users. And I think you're right, Tommy. So you asked a very simple question. I said so many word salad of things here. So I'll come back to you, Tommy. Yes, I think favorites could very well be a core product item, but not just a list of favorited things. It's going to have more than that, right? Summarize the changes in the reports since I came back, right? Which reports have had the most drastic changes? Yeah. Give me data quality statistics on some of the. Hey, this report was last refreshed here. You added another 1,000 records. Oh, interesting. Let's go look at that. Like stuff like that. Hey, here's some visuals on this report page. Here's some changes we saw that were from when you last refreshed to what it is now. Great. Give me a little summary of what's going on, right? Oh boy, we're gonna go down. We're gonna go there, Tommy.
That's all well and good. Just let it be on the sidebar. I'll take the list. At this point, I still think that should be a core product. But speaking of UI updates and making things easier to see, this is not like the most impactful feature, but I appreciate this, and we'll keep on the OneLake catalog kind of trend here. Well, if you go to the OneLake catalog, or if you have gone to it, it shows a list of everything. And usually what I have to do is filter by Lakehouse or filter by semantic model. And because it's showing everything as its own entity, but we know that most things have some interdependencies. If I have a Lakehouse, there's a SQL Analytics endpoint, and there may be a semantic model. So what they now allowed is a clear parent-child structure to understand how the data relates to each other. And this is one of those, it was just needed. It
makes sense. It really makes sense. And they've already used this language other places. Like this language is inside the workspaces.
Right. Yeah.
And it makes sense if a Lakehouse has a data warehouse hanging off of it, or there's a dependency.
100%.
This makes total sense when you're inside the Lakehouse. And also in the Lakehouse, you're not trying to blend things together. You're just showing what's already there. So if there's a relationship, show it. I think this makes a lot of sense. I like this one too, Tommy. I think this is another, creature comfort here as well. That makes a lot of sense to me. The one thing I'm also, this is going to be a bit of a friction point for me that I see around OneLake is semantic models are really nice. I can make measure names. I can make measures with descriptions. I can describe a bit what's going on there. I can see the data type of measures. Same thing for columns and tables. When I go to Lakehouses, there's no ability for me to add metadata to that table, how it got there and what those columns are doing. So I think there's a miss in my point. I don't know if the Delta format supports this. Does that support it, Tommy? Delta does support column descriptions. Sure. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to Google that one while you go on the next topic here. But that would be something I would really like to see. I like to see some additional metadata added to tables, where I'm able to add table and column level descriptions into tables in the Lakehouse, which would then automatically funnel over to the OneLake catalog, where you could then read that information and present it. Because it's just a missing gap in my mind. I did like this. I will say this. going to semantic models and doing explore on top of your data, major win. I don't know
It
when
is a
that
great
showed up.
feature.
That's
It's like almost 2 years ago now, I want to say.
I can't
Or
remember.
longer.
I remember like going down to like you can go all the way into the column level and say there's a little like the little glasses just show up. You
Yeah.
just click it and it just works. Like this is nice. I don't need to have the data in. This is great. If you have access, click the little eye goggles, the binoculars, I guess is what they're called.
Yeah.
And it shows up and you have the edit and explore my data experience. That's exactly what I want. I want to see what's in this table. I want to see all the columns that are there. What does this look like? Okay, great. That's not what I want to close it down, go to the next thing. I think that's a really good experience there.
Question actually about the Explore feature, because I do use that all the time too, but I'm always curious on features like that. And I think about the adoption side of things. I think about the user experience. For you and I, that makes total sense because usually you and I have created the semantic model. Usually you and I are the ones who helped develop it or had some part to play in it.
Yep.
But if I am a CTO or I am, the director, or if I'm a manager and I have that, is that something that we're trying to promote as part of the experience for consumers, for end users?
The one like
Should that be the Explore feature?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think this is
so.
I think there's always this need. So if I didn't have that, Tommy, I would ask you, what is your alternative?
Right.
My alternative might be like, oh, I've got to connect to this table and export it to Excel or get it into Excel some way so I can look at it. Like I got to see the data at some level. So having the Explorer feature where I have filters, pick the columns I want, see the data in a table, and then I can easily just kind of like put that away and not have to show it. Like that's I think extremely helpful. I was just doing some data quality reviewing, going through tables, clicking on things just to get familiar with the data structure. It was very helpful. Another feature I would just throw down here as well, Tommy, when we talk about semantic models, the semantic model in the OneLake catalog needs the model view. When you click on that
diagram,
one of the tabs on the top of that in OneLake catalog really needs the model view diagram, and I need to be able to, me as the architect or the person,
tabs that are saved.
What was that?
The tabs, like you can create tabs in the semantic model of different views of.
Yeah. No, exactly right. So I'm just dealing with some very large semantic models now, and I'm making multiple tabs at the bottom of the page. Hey, I'm interested in this fact table or these fact tables. I take those fact tables, put it on a page, and then I say add all related tables. And because there's a couple pieces of the diagram that I don't need to see for my view. So I need to like have a cleaned down or simplified view of what those tables are doing. I should be able to see every single one of those model views inside the OneLake catalog. And I should be able to add. So another thing I add here to make this enhanced is inside Power BI Desktop or even the service, when I'm building these model views, I need to have I need like a Post-it note on there. Like, hey, here's a comment on that page.
Little eye icon, info icon.
But think about it. Like that's what we want, honestly. Like if I document it in the model with a text box that has a comments on it, and then I save the view of how those tables are laid out, great. Now when I publish it, everyone can see the tables. I can write some documentation on how to use the semantic model, what data is contained in there. That completes a very difficult portion for people to use when you get into semantic models. Because I don't know anything about the DAX measures, but I can see at least a related table view. So if I've got Explorer open and I've got the model view open, that really completes my understanding of what I'm doing in the model.
As we talk about features that don't exist yet, what would be actually really neat, speaking of which, is how great it would be if that info icon not only gave you the description, but almost like a set of slides. So let's say I'm really interested in products. Like I see everything because I always, to your point, always create tabs for the different dimensions or those different views. Because you want to know, like, okay, like what is everything that's correlated or dependent on product?
Exactly right.
Well, let's say someone's looking at product, and not only does it show you the info, but I can create, in a sense, like almost a mini report of different slides, kind of like the focus view of like, hey, here's all the product of sales. Here's all the products of the members. And it's basically just a graph of that dimension with the main metrics. So a user can quickly then see, like, okay, this is all the products, or here's all of the sales managers. I can get a quick view of that model's metrics of that product or of that dimension.
Yes.
So not only we want to talk about Quick Explorer. A user doesn't even have to drag and drop or choose the columns. They're already trying to find information about the dimension table, the product table.
Yes.
So give them the info and then give them basically the statistics of that.
So Tommy, here's an interesting point that I want to unpack with you here. I think this is exactly what people want. And I do think what you're describing is a perfect place to put AI and models on top of this, right? This is where I think, like, I should be able to go to a dimension table and see the dimensions that are there. There's a relationship from that table to a fact table. That fact table likely has columns with numbers in them. There may be some measures calculating some things. And what I should be able to do is I should be able to communicate with the agent and say, okay, using this dimension table, what kinds of things could I calculate? And I should just be able to have a conversation with the agent about, here's what you could build. Here's the kind of measures that exist. Here's the fact tables that it's touching, like that. And then not just tell me in words, but give me like little mini diagrams, like just do quick examples.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one that I think would be a really great feature here around data discovery and using and being more clear about what you're doing here is if you click on a measure, I should be able to see a diagram view of every column and where that came from my semantic model. So I should be able to make like a little visual
chart.
Yeah, almost like a mermaid chart. Like I would really feel like, hey, I've made a visual on the page. I've grabbed this column, this column, this column, and then a measure, and then a pops up or is side by side is, okay, I know everything that you've selected in your visual. Here's all the tables it's touching, highlighted each column that it's coming from. It highlights the measures, it highlights the tables. And then I can see at a quick glance, when I put this measure on this visual, these are the impacted elements back into the semantic model. Like that would be huge. I might have to freaking just build this thing. This is already genius. I have to make this. I have to make this myself.
I think we probably should get the topic because we're 30 minutes in, and I think the last half have been features we want. I don't.
Oh yeah.
For those who are listening, the last 15 minutes they do not exist.
That's true. So, that's true. All right, let's go in. We'll jump in now on our main topic. So Tommy, let's go into our main topic right now. And I am now fully distracted, and I'm going to have to write all these ideas down because those are brilliant ideas.
All right. So again, thank you, guys and gals. Thank you so much for the mailbags and continue to send them our way. We really do enjoy reading them, and they're great ideas. So here we go. I just finished listening to the Adopting a Copilot Standalone for Power BI, episode 428 for reference. You may have addressed this before, but I enjoy hearing a conversation about addressing what is the problem you're trying to solve for. You can have many tools and be highly skilled with it, but do you understand the issue for which the business needs improvement against? So the crux of the conversation here, the crux of the topic here is we have all these products and solutions available to us more than ever before, especially in our world, in our space and data. But the problem can be, what are we trying to solve for? And do we understand what we're actually trying to improve?
Yeah, I think this is an incredible question. And again, I'm not going to pick on Copilot on this. I think this actually applies not to just
in general.
In general things. I think the Copilot was mentioned in the comment here, but in the question. But I think this applies a lot of places. If there's not a need, why are you building it? And I'm seeing a lot of people kind of vibe code or build applications. I'm honestly myself. I'm doing a lot of building of things and trying to create my own content and pieces around stuff. I'm at a place right now where I am thinking there's a lot of small challenges I'm trying to solution through and fix and resolve. And I think this is in a world, how do I say this one? In a world where everyone can create anything they want just by talking to it, right? The only winners in this game are the people that can really solve a problem efficiently and communicate it to an agent or something to build or a team to get something created in a way that actually really solves the problem well. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mike, I'll take a step back too, because you can even take away the world of AI at this point too, and just talk about the options available to me in Fabric, notebooks, lake houses. And I just actually spoke with a team yesterday, and they were looking into Power BI. They really haven't considered Fabric, but they were going to move to Power BI. And they're asking about Fabric. And I'm not starting with, oh, well, there's lake houses and data lakes, because you can talk about the products, but if you don't understand what a team's current situation is, but more importantly, where are they trying to go in general? Not we want lake houses, because that's not the right question or answer. And nor is the question, what products are you looking for? We have to understand what questions we're asking, but more importantly, we really need to focus on, Mike, the end goal. And AI is just making this more and more apparent, because to your point,
Correct.
I don't have to have a problem to create something. And usually I wouldn't spend my time before AI focusing on something just to vibe develop, right? Or vibe
Yes.
write something down, because
Yes.
it's
Yep.
more time. But again, even without the AI side, I don't want to focus on this. Just in the world of Fabric, I could migrate everything to a notebook, or I can migrate all my databases to a lake house.
Mhm.
But that might be fun for me, but for an organization, you have to understand really the issues at hand, or more importantly, the goals. And you and I have talked about this so much time about defining goals, but I'll pause there because I know there's a few nuggets there.
I think this is really important, Tommy. And I think what we're looking at here is in a world where everyone can build anything at a whim, right? I'm seeing people say, "Oh, I just copied my entire Salesforce CRM system or whatever they want," and they just build custom whatever they want. Or, "Hey, I just vibe coded this, tool that I was paying money for, and now I got rid of it, and now I don't need it anymore. I've made my own specific tool with a new actions of what I want." Right? What's happening now is instead of having to rely on someone else to build the solution that you want, you can now dream up the solution that you need to use and use it, right? So I think what we're able to get to here with AI and what we're seeing here, this is the same thing I was communicating in the last episode. This whole idea of like hyper personalization. I'm probably gonna coin that term. It's hyper personalization now, right? This is, hey Tommy, you're gonna build a tool on your machine. And if, I was working with someone recently where we did this. They had a problem. They're trying to solve an issue. We sat down and said, hey, let's build a little web application, a little mini app, web app. And so I said, not the full blown deploy it, just build me like an HTML page that does some things. And so we sat down and we vibe coded loading an Excel document, reading the information, filtering the columns of the table, applying some business logic. All this was done in an HTML page that was local on their machine to build something. It just created the tool that I needed right now. It was hyper personalized to what they wanted. Everything I was doing, none of this was rocket science. All this was like standard things that the internet knows how to do, and the chatbot knows how to write the code for this stuff. But it was a hyper personalized item, and that's where I think we're at. And one of the things that's kind of disappointing to me a little bit about what I would say maybe Fabric is, take that same use case, that story, that scenario, right? I have data. I've got this little mini UI front end thing that I want to vibe code. It's in it, like upload this Excel file, parse the data, put it here, read the data, add some business logic, do something per row, whatever the thing is. But it's building code, JavaScript, to do all this stuff. I really like this experience of having like a vibe coded experience of building the front end UI of whatever I was building right alongside where all the data lives. Where is this experience from Fabric? Like I'm looking at like Lovable, I'm looking at Replit, I'm looking at Base 44. Like these are other programs that are doing like a really good job of, and so there's a couple things, Tommy, that we need to solve when we vibe code things, right? One of them is authentication. How do you have people sign in? Fabric's already got this solved already because you sign into the portal, you got that solved. The second problem we have is where do you store the data? Doggone it, Fabric is an environment for that too. So where is the equivalent of a vibe coded like tool that lives in Fabric and already understands how to save, and the agent has been trained on how to get data in and out of these tables, and hey, I'm going to make a file, I'm just going to put it in my OneLake. Great. When you open this app or open this vibe coded experience in Fabric, you go to that file, read it back out, parse it back in again, whatever you want to do. I don't care, agent thing. Like we can work with this together. So to me, Tommy, like this is where we're getting to the point where we need to stop thinking about building the pipeline, building the notebook, building the semantic model, and we're going to need to start thinking about what is the experience I want to give to my user to interact with data, and the agent can take care of the rest of everything else.
So, Mike, I'm going to I'm going to challenge you to take a brief step back when it comes to the AI things here, because I would challenge that most people listening who work in a larger organization or mid-sized organization do not have the ability to use AI as much as you and I do. Because you and I are a little different here because we have our own firm. So I can authenticate any AI tool with my products. Most organizations are not allowing this. And further, more people, I think, are dealing with trying to integrate the products available already. What is available in Fabric more than the AI agents, or talking about Claude or Claudebot or whatever those features are. This is not their world right now. I think it's trying to be, but again, most people are at the whims of what the organization provides to them. They can use their own personal things. I think more people are struggling with, Mike. And I think for me, where I'm focusing here is, if I'm an organization and I see all the tools, just what's here and now, what's actually in front of me right now in Fabric.
Okay.
There's a lot of tools out there, but I don't think a lot of people have defined what they're trying to solve for. What are the problems, or what can we actually do with this? If I have notebooks, lake houses, but I already have data. It's not like people are starting from nothing. People already have organization data. And now I'm going to give them this Fabric environment. Where do you start? Because you can start building anything, to your point. It may not be in a data agent, but you still have all these products. And I do want to brief that with, I agree with everything you're saying with the agent side of things. That's just not a lot of people's world right now.
Yeah, Tom. So Tommy, I'm gonna agree with you, and I'm gonna slightly disagree with you.
Okay.
On one hand, I agree with you. People are probably not really diving into this thing. On the other hand, are large organizations actually limiting what you can physically build on a web? Like, we're talking. So in the past, I'd have to install software, and software would be locked down, and I can't go to things. What I'm seeing now is I'm not vibe coding with software. I'm going to a website, and everything I'm building is in the website. The coding, the chatting, the app that you're building, it's on my mobile device, it's on my computer device. Like, the accessibility that I'm getting to be able to put AI where I want it, I think it's there. And now it's just a matter of, is the employee or people working in the business group, are they willing to spend a little bit of time experimenting with things? And for me, I'm having an epiphany these last couple weeks here. Stuff's really lighting up for me. It's changed a lot of how I really envisioned the world. And like, people were saying this maybe months ago, like, oh, it's going to change how everything works. It's going to change everything what you do. And I was like, yeah. I'm not really seeing, me personally, I'm not seeing the effects of it. These last 8 weeks, I've really seen an effect. And I've shifted much of my mental model towards, this is going to happen. And so I think, to your point, Tommy, like, you're right. Maybe large organizations aren't pushing their people to do it, but I think you're going to very quickly see. Okay, another story here. A friend of mine has got some employees. They're in sales. They're using ChatGPT to write a prompt, and then the prompt is then used to go. That's what he uses when he goes to talk to people about sales opportunities. Just literally straight up. And he's now collected multiple prompts. And then any of the prompts that work well, he feeds back, hey, this prompt worked really well. I sold really well. Hey, this prompt really worked really well. I sold really well with this one too. So he's now, make it better, more of these. And so now, after months of work, he's now almost one of the lead salespeople in his area, because he's been using AI just to bounce ideas off of, just to figure things out, right? So he's using the tools. He wasn't even given it by organization. That's just something he paid for on his phone or on his iPad. $20 a month,
Mike.
$50 a month, Tommy. Like, if you can increase your sales by a lot for I'm looking at this going, people better take notice here. There's going to be people in this. Okay, let me go back. Sorry, I'm getting too excited. Sorry,
I'm
going to pause. Let me write it down. Let me write my comment down so I can come back to it. Okay.
I got to pause you there because I completely agree with that. We've been on the gravy train for a while, but the difference, people's playground here. Okay. If I'm Power BI, am I vibe coding a Power BI report? Right. And again, this goes back to
now. Not right now.
And not in Fabric, because Fabric only has Copilot. I know it's coming, but
Tommy.
So I think you're doing exactly what the mailbag question is, because you're talking about all the cool things out there and what you can create, but what it actually solves for right now, like the tools that are available to me right now. I can see the things that I can build. Cool, Mike. I'm spending a lot of time creating things vibe coding, but it's not a notebook and it's not a lake house, not yet. But again, what is this going to solve for? A lot of people are still trying to adopt Power BI, Mike, listening to us. I mean, like I said, I just had a project scope yesterday about adopting Power BI, and organizations never used it. They are looking at AI agents, sure, but when they are focusing on Power BI, Mike, they still are doing what happened 10 years ago with, okay, we have Snowflake, we're trying to integrate it. We have to migrate report objects, business objects. They are still, and they're a large organization, right? So more and more people, even with this influx of AI, the difference with working in a Microsoft shop, Mike, is the fact that you can only play in their playground. When I vibe code something for my local models on my machine, I can build JavaScript or whatever I want. I don't have that ability or that luxury when I'm dealing with the Fabric playground, with the Fabric environment. I still have to build things and spend the time to do it. But more importantly, we haven't even talked about, again, defining a problem yet, or like, right. We've been talking about is building things. We have yet to talk about why.
So some reaction to your things.
Yeah.
First reaction is, I understand. What I feel like I'm trying to articulate here, now maybe I'm doing a bad job of this. What I feel like I'm trying to articulate is, Tommy, there are so many problems to solve. There are so many variety of things to get stuff done, right? I'm looking at agents and AI, and there's been a tipping point where these things are now pushing us to a place where the gap between what I can dream up with problem solving and the ability to execute to making that problem go away, or building me personalized tool. I'm going to go back to this word again that I've been using, hyper personalization, right? Hyper personalized processes, hyper personalized apps. We're building this hyper personalization around these experiences. And so I'm agreeing with you, Tommy, right? We're not looking at the problems. The people that are going to win in this next race or space around data, AI, Fabric, Power BI things is going to be, it's going to be the people that can take understanding of where they are right now, leverage these new tools, and that gap used to be really big. That gap to make personalized experiences or personalized tools to solve problems has just dropped to almost nothing. The cost to do it is almost nothing. And so I would agree with you, Tommy. I feel like in some ways Microsoft is severely lagging behind in like the AI generated space, how to build little apps and things. Okay, fine. But I've had a really successful experience inside Azure Foundry. I really like what it's doing. I like that I have models, any model, all models, basically, everything from Hugging Face, everything from all the big producers, all those models exist to me, and I can use them in other third-party tools and products. What's just missing for me, Tommy, so let's go back to this other problem here, right? The user that is able to articulate their problems well, and then has enough knowledge to articulate the requirements, the business requirements, back into something, will push them really far. And so if we step back and say, let's just look at just Power BI. Where is Power BI Pro Copilot? Where is the creation experience on those other ends? I think Microsoft has missed the mark here substantially on the creation experience of how you build stuff. I think a lot of people think agents or Copilot is used to go look at the data and give me information about the data. I honestly think that's a very hard problem to solve. But what's a much better known quantity is how you throw an agent at building a single visual. How do you throw an agent at building a report page? How do you throw an agent at building a background image? Those are things agents are amazing at, and they're really good at. And those are the things that we should be using agents and agentic like things to help reduce that gap, right? Between, hey, I just made a report. Well, now I need to make a report good looking. Well, how do you reduce that gap? How do you use AI to produce that gap smaller?
Are you going to recommend right now then? So going off of that, because there's a few things that I want to retort, so to speak. But so let's say you're working with an organization now and they're migrating to Power BI. Are you going to recommend to them right now to vibe code their semantic models? No.
No, but I'm going to definitely look at, so no, but I'm using as more a part of my regular workflow is the Power BI MCP.
Okay.
So Power BI MCP allows me to pull desktop up, and I'm starting to talk. So again, we're talking about like,
so
this is what I'm talking about, right? In order for me to get the knowledge of Marco Russo and Daniel Oetker into my model, or Michael Kowalski into my model, I can now point an MCP at this thing and say, hey, go look at my model. Just I can program my model just by looking at it. Give me some things. Hey, model, I want you to go through and look at the information I have in my model, and I want you to suggest some measures for me, but I don't want you just to suggest any measure. I want you to go in and use the DAX patterns and only build DAX patterns. If we can't make a DAX measure fit a DAX pattern, we don't build it. Period. End of story. If you did stuff like that, that gap, again, talking about like the knowledge and gap and what things should be doing, that thing now decreases much lower, and you can give much more human chatting back to that model.
You're talking about I think there's a bigger topic here that you're really referring to.
Maybe.
Or
I'm just making up a topic on the fly. I'm totally just changed the topic here today.
There's really two big themes here that I'm hearing. One is a question is, just because you could doesn't mean you should, right? You could, I could feed everything and make my entire semantic model off DAX patterns. But should I? But I think the bigger thing that you're talking about with all the AI features is one of my biggest assets, or one of the biggest things that when I work with clients, is the ability to prioritize goals, because every organization has two limitations: money and resources. And usually they want to do everything under the sun, but they know that's not possible. They want to do adoption. They want to do managed self-service. What can you vibe code self-service? We'll talk about that. But they want to do self-service. They want to migrate all their reports. They want to make them better. But the problem is they don't have that time to do so. So someone has to come on who's navigated those waters and prioritize what needs to get done first. And you have to worry about skill. You have to worry about the time allotted. You have to worry about the technology. Where we're going with AI right now, and I think you're kind of mentioning this, Mike, is that limited resource is, in a sense, drastically reducing. We have more time to build things. I don't have to. I think a lot of people are now dealing, if they're working in the AI world or integrating with that, is I don't have to focus as much on goal setting, because I can quickly, without thinking too much, start building something or have something halfway built with vibe coding, or half an application or half a semantic model if I'm using the MCP. In the world before AI, anything I was going to work on, I needed to be very selective on what I was going to either focus on learning, focus on doing for an organization or for myself. You are referring to a lot of things where, if you had on the whim right now to say, you know what, I want to build a website, I want to build a blog, you don't have to go the research on what the things are. You can literally just go to Claude and say, build me a website that has a blog articles like this. Right. So I don't have to goal set. So, and I think a lot of people are feeling this now, where this goes back to me with Fabric too. If I want to spin up a Spark environment, I don't have to worry about what Spark is. I just go to Fabric. So the ability to create things is drastically reduced. And I think a lot of people are going to deal with a lot of creation of things without missing, I think, what is the most important part is the goal setting. I'm going to argue the importance of goal setting, because I fall into this trap too, man. I'll find times where I'm like, I wonder if AI can do this, or I wonder if I can connect to my data this way.
Yes.
And no, right. And then you spend the time and you're like, oh, cool, I did it. Cool. Well, I haven't set what my projects are, what my milestones are, what we're trying to do in the long run. I think all these things just make it easy to forget that. So, do you agree or disagree with that?
I will agree with a caveat.
Okay.
As I have found, I work with agents. One thing I'm going through is I'm trying to understand what the agent can do. Like, again, I want to give it all these really large, very open-ended, very big task things. And what I'm finding is right now, the way the state of things are right now, if you do a better job of PMing and breaking down the problem to a much smaller state. And so going back to the question here, right? Are we building a lot of tools that are just trying to find answers to things? Yeah, there's some things in fact that I feel like you're doing that. But in general, I think the business analyst space, the BI team, has to spend a lot of time talking to business and going doing very technical things. Talking to the business and going doing technical things. Those individuals that are building reports and creating things, you have to be trained to get requirements, define what that stuff is, and get it into a place where you can actually solve the issue. So if I had to write no DAX, if I had to mess with no semantic models, if I could just have all that become task level things that I could just offload someone else, I could just sit back and think about the big picture. Yeah. That would be great. Hey, let me go look at the database on-prem and the tables that are there. Let me go through and see which tables would really need data quality. Are there any issues with their data? Like, there's a lot of problems that we're unable to solve because we're spending a lot of time writing code or building things or creating stuff at the lower end level. Our tasks, the day-to-day task, is what's eating up our ability to step back and think at the big problem level.
Yes.
So I think, to your point, Tommy, the whole vibe of this conversation is we need everyone to focus on solving problems. And what's happening is there's a shift happening on what tools we're using to do this with. And you also, I'm going to pick on you here again. You said time and money, right? These are the two big things that we are dealing with here. Okay. In order for me to make a semantic model, what if I took that time and cut it in half? What if in order to write measures and build out what I think I need, what if I was able to take that time and cut it by 75%? That's the kind of stuff I think we're talking about here, like with AI and agentic things here. Yeah. Also, not only am I cutting my time substantially to build things, I'm also cutting the cost to do this. So also, Tommy, I'm contemplating here. I'm looking at GitHub Copilot with sub agents. Oh, yeah, right? Yeah. Really exciting. Also, I'm looking at Claude Code with their Claude bots or whatever the little things that they've got going on. Things where you can let them autonomously think about and program and do their own planning on their own things, right? Tommy, I'm looking at this going, I could literally buy a $10,000 desktop computer that can run these Claude Code models locally on my machine. I just buy it outright. And I could treat it like an employee, exactly like a new and hire. And what's happening now in some of these, it's now called Moltbot, but it was originally called Claudebot. It's this ability for agents are now building their own memory, they're having their own file system, they're creating information and storing it locally so it can go recall it when it needs it. The context window, just like humans, you can't tell me everything at once. The whole reason I have Miro and write my notes down is because I can't keep it all in my head at one time. I have to literally take notes about what's going on and try to pull abstract ideas back together. I'll summarize what you said. I'll put it down in my notes so I understand it. And then I'll read through my notes and use them to build the next thing or use it to create the next stuff. That's exactly what agents are doing. So I'm looking at this going, I could give every one of my employees an intern for a couple $1,000s to buy a machine and just, here you go. This is your intern. Okay. Use it whatever you want to do. Have it. That's saving my people time. And when they're done at the end of the day, here's my list of things I want you to do, Mr. Agent, while I sleep. This thing works 24/7. There is no insurance. There is no downtime. It just runs. And I'm getting to the point where this is interesting because the AI is doing two things. It's reducing the time it takes me to build things. I'm able to program to it in natural language. And then also I'm getting it's a fraction of the cost. It's a fraction. The price is ridiculous.
Mike, you're telling, honestly, this is where it comes down. This is what comes down to me.
Sorry,
The
I'm so
greatest
excited
gift.
about this
No,
thing.
no.
This is I'm literally I'm
But you're
high in this
honestly,
moment as we talk here.
here's what you're trying to say, and I'm gonna not put words in your mouth, but I think you're gonna agree with this. The greatest value, the greatest gift that these new tools give to us is not the ability to create things, but it's the time to be more strategic. And I think a lot of people fail to see that, where they're like, oh, look at all the things I can build. No, you can now be autonomous, but the greatest skill that I have for an organization is not my development or my prompting skills. It's to take all these different tools, which are called the arsenal, it's your tool belt, and to understand and spend, I can now spend more time thinking about the strategic side of things for the business, of what they actually need. And now I don't have to worry about the mundane tasks, or I can have, in a sense, that internally autonomous side. We need something created. Great. I'm not spending 8 of those 10 hours building the code and doing that, where I can spend more time planning on what is the value for the business.
Yes.
Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can build 10 things, but if the business doesn't see the value,
exactly,
what's the value?
Yes.
So, and I think a lot of people, if you're in the space now, I do training, learn from someone on what does it mean to create value for the business? What does it mean to be strategic? And I'll give you a great example I still use today, and I'll continue to use. The best way I've always found to find out, I think, what the problem is or what are we trying to solve for, is there's really 2 things. There's either an issue or a goal. And the best way to find that is, I always ask in a very general conversation with a client, imagine it's a year from now. It's January 29th, 2027. Your team is now high-fiving. Every time you guys see each other, it's a high five because you're so happy how things are right now. Why? What are those things that made that happen? And I always have them not say those, what products are we in use, but why would your team a year from now be so happy, so jubilant because of what your team did in the past year? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the way I think people have to think. I can now use AI to focus more on getting to that vision. But again, all these tools are a means to some end, and we cannot, that, to me, I think that's the biggest problem with all the new things. And I'm doing this all the time. Like I go on, GitHub, and I'm looking through the Explorer. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And I'm building that as the end, where you need to focus on these tools are a means to some solution.
Yes.
Whether it's a notebook or it's, Ralph, the new autonomous agent.
Sure.
I need to figure out some solution out here. Or let me back that up. I put words in my own mouth. If I am downloading this and installing it or building something and then trying to find a solution, I'm not going to be successful that way. It's the planning side that I think we're underestimating the value of.
I 100% agree. And Tommy, like, this stuff's all changing so fast. I'm gonna go back to my earlier comment. I said this. You're talking about something. I said there's this expert Excel version of people, and there's this AI expert of people. Tommy, when you and I step into an organization, you and I can easily look around the organization, and we can identify almost within minutes of walking in. We can ask the right questions and get down to who are my Excel experts that are doing stuff in the organization. We can easily identify. We can pick them out, right? They stand out like a sore. The way they talk, the way they make language stuff, the way they communicate about what they've been building, and those are people that understand a problem and have been given a tool and said, I'm going to take the initiative, I'm going to learn the tool, and I'm going to just smash it out in Excel. Tommy, we love working with those people because those are prime. They already know how to data engineer. They already learned the skills. They're doing things. They're doing things. They're just doing it in a medium that we're just going to change the medium. We're just going to move you away from, doing copy paste in Excel. We're going to move you to Power Query. We're going to move you from Power Query. We're going to move you into pipelines and lakehouses and storing data. And there's a very easy progression to take that person and move them to the next level. So I'm saying the analogy holds true for AI. And it's the exact same pattern. You're going to go to your organization and you're going to see signs of people that know how to prompt, that know how to leverage AI, that know how to build mini tools. And those people are going to shine. It's going to be very evident when they start getting their hands on things. And in the same way, we want to empower those individuals. We need to identify them. We need them to become partners and problem solvers. So they're already solving problems. They've already tried to get stuff done the way you've told them to with the tools you've given them. Yet they've gone out and they've discovered AI. They've discovered how to build their own stuff. They've just figured out how to prompt things. And going back to my sales example here, his results were like way above everyone else. And at some point, you sell so well that you become like, okay, you're selling so well. We need to learn what you did and bottle that up. And like, how can we toolify whatever you learned how to do to give it to other people? Or your role no longer becomes sales only. You now become a leader and a manager of people who are selling, and you're just using the prompts that you're generating to give back to your team and say, use these kind of things. This is how you do it. So I'm so excited about this, Tommy, because we're hitting a moment. We're inflecting. The inflection point is starting to happen here. I think agentic, or what they call, like, what is it? The singularity, like when AI becomes like, can do what, I don't know what it's called, AGI or whatever this. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I don't think we're getting there. I think that's way far out in the future. However, I think the tools and the systems, and we're just starting the wind of, we're finally treating agents and the context window as a more like a human mind, right? I can't hold all the context. I've got to continually refresh it. I'm going to always have to give these agents new information. So we're going to do a better job documenting, skilling, giving it tools, giving it capability. And we're already seeing the wind of, this is really changing people's day-to-day work. And I think this is the part that I see happening in the industry. The frustrating part to me is I don't see the same level of success where I'm inside the Microsoft Fabric space. VS Code, absolutely love it. I think there's a lot of wins there. But when I look across these other companies, there's just a lot of other things that I'm seeing that are like, man, these other companies, I feel like they've got it right. And I am just frustrated that I can't do it in Fabric. I'm just frustrated.
I completely agree. And I'll end on this. If someone ever wanted to hire me, if I ever went back to the FDE space, I would walk in and I would say, look, I'm not working without you giving me Claude, OpenAI, and open source for Claude Bot and Perplexity. Yep. And by the way, if you do that for me, you will see the most efficient working as 5 people in one. Yeah. But you got to give that to me, or we're not working, because my time will be spent being strategic. What will happen from paying one employee? You will never.
Say the list again. Say the list again, because I went a little too quick for me. You said
Claude.
Tools. Yep. So Claude.
OpenAI.
Yep.
Claude Code. So I need that access on my terminal to build, and Perplexity.
Okay.
You do that, and I'm working like 5 employees, and I will be able to achieve whatever projects that you have. And I could work. Yeah. Like, it's insane. But like it. To me, I would not like just working independently now and being able to be as productive and as efficient and strategic with projects as I am now. It's almost like, you know what it's like? It's like going from my 5 screens here and someone, no, you just get a laptop, no screens.
Yeah.
So
hey, I'm going to take both your hands and tie them behind your back. I'm going to ask you to type with your nose on the keyboard.
And like, it's not because it's lazy. It's my time being able to spend on the end goal.
Tommy, I'm going to be a bit, well, I want to give you my set of tools, right? The tools that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
I think I could get away with everything you're doing with Claude Code, OpenAI, Perplexity. Now, it's a little bit behind, but I'm really bent on like staying inside the Microsoft shop. I'm really, one of the things I don't really love doing is I don't love Claude. I'm very adverse to sending prompts to other companies where I know they are looking at my prompts and potentially re-engineering them to figure out what I'm doing with them. So Claude, OpenAI, to me, feel like a risk for a business. Now, would I run their models on Microsoft hardware? Yes, I would. So I'm of the opinion of like the AI so I get access to all the Claude models like Sonnet, Opus, very powerful tools. I want, to your point, Tommy, I want to use the products that they're producing. However, I don't want to use their APIs and infrastructure. So that's one thing I kind of disagree with there from my standpoint. So I would agree with you. I'm using Claude. I'm using OpenAI. I'm using 5.2. Like, those are things that I'm definitely using right now. Perplexity is interesting I don't use Perplexity, and I know you've had raving reviews of it, but I just saw an announcement from Google that almost is like a Perplexity-like killer, and it feels like we are actually in the throes of the large software companies. I'm going to call them like Meta, Google. Now it's going to call, Perplexity, Claude, and Microsoft. OpenAI is probably in there too. These large software companies, I believe they are jockeying for position right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Google is coming in and saying, look, we make enough money on advertising. We missed this whole AI wave. We need to come in and crush it, because if they don't, Google can't monetize on the Perplexity funnel of queries and eyeballs and time. So I really think Google is trying to really squelch out the competition. Gemini is amazing. A lot of it's for free. You can vibe code entire apps and build full things on Gemini 3 right now. I think Google wants your eyeballs and wants to become that development platform for you, because if they do it right, you won't go to another company and you'll stay in the Google ecosystem. So I feel like a war is brewing across the big tech companies, and it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out in the next 3 to 6 months, because I think there's going to be a lot of brand new tools coming out that are free or almost free to use. And I think I saw an advertisement that ChatGPT will now start serving ads in your ChatGPT threads. That's coming. So it's only a matter of time before someone starts picking up this whole, hey, we're going to start trying to make money and monetize off your chat-like experience. And how creepy will that be when you can task a chatbot and say, hey, I'm interested in these sweatpant brand things. Go find me 60 items of this thing. And then 3 months later, it comes back and says, look, everything that you were wanting to search for years later is now on sale. We're going to hyper, build something for you so you can go see here's a little mini vibe coded app to compare the different products that we found for you. And you just click and do things with it. It's going to be insane.
I could create that in the next 30 minutes. Yeah, no, I love it. So, dude, we are way past time, but what a good conversation, man.
I do agree. So we are getting over time. Thank you all for listening to us today. We got really heated about this conversation. Great question from the mailbag. Should we be looking for tools, or should we be defining the problem first? 100% we should be defining and understanding what the problem is. I think the tools at this point is becoming immediately irrelevant. I don't think that the tools are going to be interesting at all. So one thing that we have really coming up that's going to be super exciting is we are, 2 episodes away, Tommy? This is 498.
498.
We are 2 episodes away from episode 500. We want to make it a little bit fun. We want to have some enjoyment on episode 500. So if you or anyone else is listening to the podcast, we really want to encourage people to jump in, listen to the podcast on episode 500. We will be doing giveaways. We're going to have some free stuff that you can go get. So make sure you send the message around for episode 500. We're going to try and make it quite fun. And I've got a couple surprises for episode 500 as well. So I'll just tease that now. Tommy, where else can you find the podcast?
You can find us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to subscribe and leave a rating. It helps us out a ton. If you have a question, idea, or topic that you want us to talk about in a future episode, head over to powerbi.tips/podcast. Leave your name and a great question. Join us live every Tuesday and Thursday, especially next week, 500, 7:30 a.m. Central, and join the conversation on all of Powerbi.tips social media channels.
When you say the word all, it really sounds like you're from New York. It really, it's like,
my mother, I don't know if you ever saw Welcome Back.
Bonus content by the way. This is just bonus content.
This is all fun. Yeah. We ever see Welcome Back Cotter, but there's a character named Horshack. He goes, "Who axed you?" And like AXE based. And so if you're listening, think about you. So
hey, Mom, thanks for all.
We'll see you all. See you guys later. So
thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.